G'day guys, welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. Bit of a follow on from yesterday. As I was moving my loco build stand back into the shed, I stood on the basket of a pulley. One of the parts trays had fallen down during the day and I thought I picked a lot up, but one pulley had shot down underneath the frame and I couldn't see it. So after wasting half an hour walking all over the shed and looking at least twice and finding nothing, here I am with the pulley. However, there were a few chips taken out of it, so I've had to do a little bit of rework. Not much, just a bit of grinding with the Dremel. I'll bring you in and look at the belt, gear train, pulley train, whatever you want to call it. Hacksaw. Okay, now you can get a better view of what the drive system like. The motor shaft sticks in through here with a little double belt pulley onto the main drive. Belt from here back down to this pulley, and I've reversed this pulley to show you the damage chip out of there. And cast iron pulleys, although they're really strong and wear well, are not very physically strong. And a little piece out of here, they're not really impinging on the V-belt drive area, so I'm not in a state of panic. And after we finish talking, I'll turn that back to front and put the final drive belt on there and slip the two belts in for the motor pulley into the background. But yeah, just a quick shot with the Dremel. It's amazing how fast you can do a little job like that with such a tiny little power source. They do work really well. Same there, I'm pretty sure the belts will slip around that. Okay, I'll reverse this pulley, put some belts up and bring you back for another view. Well guys, here it is, making a bit of noise for the first time since I got it. Well, not much noise at that, which is exactly what we want to hear. Got to be about the right speed for small diameter work. I think at that speed it's about 180 RPM and it goes down to about 60 RPM at its slowest. So everything's looking good. I'll let it run for a few minutes, check the belt tension, and we're on the way. Hey, looking good. And here we have another milestone. It's moving on its own. A little closer. It's got an absolutely beautiful hydraulic swap over, or changeover. I dare say it's got snubbers at both ends of the stroke and snubbers or an accumulator in the hydraulic system. It's a very progressive speed adjustment too. The manual says to run it to the full travel in both directions, but I don't think I will for a while. I'll try and purge all the air out of the system, and I want it to pump oil up onto the waves. It's been sitting dry for several months, so I don't want it to run without lubing the waves up. Yep, I think I'm going to enjoy using this machine. Put the work feed on as well. I might as well go home and have a beer. It works that well by itself. Okay guys, I've got to go and do a bit of shopping and pick up the lady. I'll see you all in the next exciting instalment of what happens in my shed. See you then. Hello again, just a bit going on today using old Mr. Dinosaur. I've got some 200 by 8 plate that I'm cutting into smaller sections to make pads for underneath the feet, the levelling feet for the cylindrical grinder. And now that I no longer have a proper workshop, I don't have any oxyacetylene cylinders, and I have no reasonable method of cutting it except for the power hacksaw. So I've set it up to do the job. I've put a little bit of wood, half-inch of wood, under this edge of the steel to tilt it back a few degrees. That way it doesn't appear as if it's cutting a 8-inch solid of steel, only about 2.5 or 3 inches, and it does assist it quite a lot in the operation. So I'll kick it in the belly, get it running, and then bring you in for a closer look. I haven't got it set to too high a feed rate. I don't want it to bash its brains out. Yeah, that's a little bit of a better look at the machine running. Now I've had a lot of people laugh at the old machines like the Shapers and the Power Hacksaw, but I'll now move the camera away and you'll see what I'm doing as this machine cuts the steel. Okay fellas, I'll try and talk over that noise with the banging and crashing going on in the background. I'll show you why I don't worry too much about how much time the machine takes to do the job, because I'm not in the standards. Now I'm cleaning off the side of the cylindrical grinder. This is just a bit of, I think it's citrus spray. I find it to be bloody good stuff. And it's also easy on the paintwork. Luckily, being a cylindrical grinder, it's got a big trough that runs around the power head for all the coolant to collect and run off. So I just use that to collect the suds. Give this product a couple of minutes to soak in. And if there's a bit of icky stuff, you can do some of this. Things like these scales, it does a wonderful job. And if you have to come back and do it a couple of times, who cares, it's not that hard. And to cut those plates, that hacksaw sure beats a 1mm cut-off wheel. So you can see all the grease just dissolving. This way I'm not going to drown the electrics or anything delicate. Inside that frame it just runs down into a high base. So I don't have the luxury of a high pressure water blaster or a clean down bay in which to use it, so I'm reduced to this, but it's not that hard. Anyway, I'll bring you back when something else happens. It's worth watching. What the hell is this? Using a little hacksaw to cut off steel? Well, there's a good reason for it. Even though it's wobbling around there, it's still doing quite a good job. Little Milbo, 5-inch capacity, made in Melbourne, same age as me. I can't use the big hacksaw on this particular product, and I'll show you why. Okay, we're back to the big hacksaw, and I'll show you what I discovered, much to my surprise. I'll set it up in a second, show you how I was going to run the material, but I've got a gap in the vise jaws of about 3.5 to 4mm down there. And at first I scratched my head, what the hell is that all about? And I thought, hell, the jaws must be worn. I'll take it out, set it up in the shaper and machine it back. So I then put a square over the base of the jaw and up the face, and like it's tapered 3mm, the same as the gap there. So I thought, well, it's a symmetrical jaw, I'll turn it over. This face is not square to the jaw. So I put the square up against the fixed jaw. It's out by the same amount. And then it dawns on me, it's not the same as the little hacksaw or any that I've used before. All the other saws have got a frame up the front here, and the screw goes through to roughly the middle of the moving jaw. Bloody lovely. This one goes underneath. And if you tighten the bejesus out of it, the gap goes away. There's enough movement and flex in the lower nut to clamp something big. Well, that's lovely. Job works quite well. But what I had set up in the vise. A double thickness of that setup there. And a single piece off to the side. Now what I'm producing here is about 90mm square pads to go underneath the feet of the cylindrical grinder. So it's got something for the levelling jack screws to push into without marring up the concrete. Now what was happening, and this has got quite a heavy bow, I don't think I could lift it if it was off the machine. I can just barely lift up this end to operate it. But as soon as the weight of the soil would come down, this material would just bend over like so and nearly break the blade, even though I'd really tightened the living hell out of the jaw. And what happens is all the clamping is being done up the top. This material is lower down in the vise, and it only pinches at the top of the material and allows it to pivot down. And it didn't matter how much I screwed the hell out of the vise. Like even now you can see there's a hell of a big gap there. It's unusual too in that you undo the bolt to tighten up the jaws. Now it gradually comes out, but all of the clamping pressure is up at the top of the jaw, not down the bottom. So for this particular operation, just no damn good at all. So I'll put it up in the little hacksaw. Now I was going to machine all these up, but I thought it's done like that for a reason. This power hacksaw is set up, I think, for small to medium fabrication, for doing miters on universal beams or PFCs, that sort of thing. And for that sort of work, it's okay. I did make a go around for this many years ago. I've probably had this machine for 10 or 12 years now, so I'll bring that out and show you, but it's too much mucking around for me to use it this time because the little hacksaw is so quick to set up. Okay, bring you back with my fix. Back again. Many years ago I made this up, and it's coming in handy a couple of times, only once or twice in the power hacksaw here, but in the milling machine as a subtable. I clamp this inside the jaws. I can put a piece of round or square stock in here and use these holes and clamp off the milling machine and set it up. Depending on the shape of the items, because of the curve in here, I've got to put a packing piece in. But if you've got a piece of valuable round or square that you want to cut and you've got the last 3 inches of it, it's coming very useful there. So this I could set up, put the piece of material in, set up a packing strip. Too much mucking around, I'll stick it all in the small hacksaw. But for those that are new to the game, and for an old hand like myself, I would never have thought of this being a problem, and I'm quite surprised that it's set up like it is. It sort of makes sense and comes together when you figure out why they would do it, but it also means the machine is not really suited for small material or awkward jobs like this where you're cutting something short. So keep your wits about you when you're using a power hacksaw. Bye for now. I'll bring you back when I've got a bit more of the grinder going. Well guys, well, I'll put that last clip in the video. Occasionally you come across a good idea and an exceptional product. The good idea is out of the Model Engineer magazine from England about 15 years ago, putting all your grinders on one table on legs so that when you go to grind you can show it outside and put the abrasive shit all over the world instead of inside your workshop. I thought that was a really brilliant idea. But the product that I want to talk about today is this linearship belt, and all abrasives are not created equal. There's a couple of reasons for that. This particular product is on a polyester backing, not cotton, mylar patch join, and like everybody, they use a polyester urethane adhesive and a isocyanate red desmodora accelerator, but it's the quality of the product. This is a Norton Blaze belt, 60 grit in ceramic, and that was a sample given to me by their representative Barry probably 8 years ago, and there's still plenty of life left in it. Now, I don't do 4 hours of grinding a bloody week, but the exceptional part is the life of the join. The joins normally suck up atmospheric moisture and oxidise and fail, and I used to tell customers you've got a 12-month life and the joint will be buggered. But yeah, this sort of life, you do get what you pay for, and I used to sell 30 to 40 a month to one of my medium-sized customers for stainless fabrication. Yeah, really, really good product. So 2 things here to note: pay money for good abrasives, they'll teach you in the end and they'll help you in the end. And put all your grinders on one trolley so you can take the shit outside. Back soon. Well guys, where I was grinding out the back with the little place to go under the levelling jacks for this particular grinder, it's a big fat pig of a thing, but to make sure it operates correctly and accurately, there's 10 jacking points. So I assume I'll be spending the best part of a day trying to get the old girl level. That never seems to work out well with me. And it's got unusual jacking screws. I should have had one up the front here with me already. Sorry about the noise in the background, but that sits under the base. This big washer goes on top of the cast iron. That's the block underneath, and I'll figure out how you use it. Anyway, I've got the 10 plates there. They're already done. Surprised with what that linearship belt has done and what it will do for me in the future. Tail stock operates and locks, which is good, and also the Morse taper centre can get ejected out. The workhead's running, although there's many hours left doing that as I adapt the chuck and faceplate to go on the front. But once I clean out the inside of the spindle with a bit of non-abrasive Scotch-Brite, I'll be right to drop a centre in there. I think I have one up in the workshop, and I've gone over the wheelhead for the first time with the citrus clean. It's gone surprisingly well for one go. This afternoon I'll be over it again like a bad smell, and try and scratch off a little bit more, maybe with a bit of steel wool. So it'll be another day or two, but the belt will eventually go up on that and we'll get the wheelhead up and running. I've got the big guard to paint to go over the top, but yeah, I'm happy with the progress so far. So let's see it all in action. There we go, one workhead spinning round. I've got to do a bit of adjustment on the stop for the table traverse control. It's reaching the limit of the internal valve before it runs up against the mechanical stop, which is not correct. And that'll be interesting. They're well and truly rusted up, and you're supposed to just put a pin through and adjust it. Don't like my chances there. And guess what runs really quiet? The spindle motor. She's still 60 years old. It's a marvellous piece of electric. But yeah, happy with the progress so far. You put a lot of hours into something, and I think I'll get lots of hours out of it. So from my shed to yours, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Looks like I set the camera up on the piss a little bit. You haven't been drinking, don't worry. and hopefully next week we'll bring you something, a bit more fabrication on the riding car for the train club, and I don't know what else then. We'll see as it comes in. Bye for now.